Before I start, I just wanted to say this is my first YouTube video. I've never done this before. I've never done anything like this before. So I'm sure there's going to be a ton of mistakes. I'd really love for you to comment any feedback or any constructive criticism or what you'd like to see next. But thanks for watching. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is go in with my color corrector. I don't necessarily color correct on a daily basis. The only reason I'm doing it today is because I'm going to be on camera, and I feel like on camera makeup looks a little bit different than it does in real life. So I'm going to go in with my color corrector. It is a peach corrector, and I'm going to go in and I'm going to apply that directly under my eyes. And I'll link under the video every product that I can. I might not be able to do for all of them, but I will try my best to do as many as possible. Now I'm only applying a small amount of this, just where I need it the most. So I'm not even trying to cover up all of my discoloration, but I do have slightly dark under eyes. Well, one of them is dark. And the area around my, sorry, that's my cat. She's very vocal and likes to spend time with me. Okay, like I said, I'm applying color corrector, just a slight amount of peach corrector, and only in the darkest places. For me, that's under my eyes, and I have some discoloration around my mouth area. I like to call it the muzzle area. I feel like I've heard that before, but every time I say it now, nobody understands what I'm saying. But the area underneath the nose, all the way down to like my jawline, chin, around the mouth. And I forgot all my brushes. Okay, so on camera, it's actually really not coming up at all, but I have applied my color corrector, and I'm gonna go in with a small brush, and I'm just going to lightly buff over that area, just to blend it in with my skin. I'm going around my nose. Oh, I forgot to mention that I've already put Vaseline on my lips as well, just to prep them. I have naturally dry skin and dry lips. These days I am getting a little bit oily in the T-zone, but mostly just on my forehead, but other than that I have mostly dry skin. Okay, so I realized that my beauty blenders were not dampened and they weren't over here, so I went to go get those wet. So these are slightly damp beauty blenders. I have like a mini sized one. It's actually not that mini anymore because I've gotten it wet, but I use that to dab under my eyes, and I use this one for concealer, and I use my Real Techniques, my larger one, for larger areas and for blending my complexion products. So color corrector is done. Like I said, I don't necessarily do that every day. Okay, now I'm gonna go in with a tinted moisturizer. I don't really like to use foundation on a daily basis, but I have been using some type of tinted moisturizer or BB or CC cream every day for many years. So I'm gonna apply some of that to the back of my hand like this. My cat. I apologize for her rowdy behavior. Okay, and I'm gonna go in with my finger, pick some of the product up from my hand, and then dot it around my face. Okay. It might look like a lot of product, but I'm actually putting very small amount of actual product down per dot. I have a lot left over on my hand. I prefer not to use too much of this product at one time. I feel like it can get a little bit too dewy, and when it comes to coverage, I know I have things to cover. It's not like I have flawless skin, but I really don't mind some of those flaws peeking through. On a daily basis, I'm mostly just trying to get more of an even base, and I like to make it look as natural as possible. So obviously the more full coverage product that you use, the less natural it will look. Okay, for me, that's honestly good enough. I do have some excess product though on the back of my hand, and I'll just place that on places I want a slight bit more coverage. So I have a few blemishes around, so I'm going to apply it over there, and just any other places with a little bit more discoloration. Now, I don't know if you can see, but the product is giving me a really nice natural and dewy finish, which is what I prefer because like I said, I have dry skin, and whatever type of skin you have, you kind of try to go for the opposite. Grass is always greener on the other side. When I had oily skin, I always wanted a matte product. Okay, I think that's enough blending for now. We can go back in later and get some more. So for concealer, I am just going to apply some under my eyes where we applied the color corrector, and then we'll see from there. So I actually have 2 shades of concealer. One is lighter than my skin tone, and one is like, I would say slightly lighter than my skin tone. For an everyday basis, I'm gonna go in with the one that is closer to my skin tone. I'm only applying a little bit of it on the back of my hand. You don't need a lot of this concealer. And like I said, I try to use as little product as possible. Like I said, the more product that you apply, the harder it is to blend out, the harder it is to make it look a little bit more natural. Okay, and I'm gonna go in with one of these old school concealer brushes, if I could find one. Looks like a flat foundation brush. It's a concealer brush. And I go back and forth. Sometimes I use my finger, sometimes I use a small sponge, but these days I've been noticing that I like applying it with this flat brush, because I feel like I can really just like pinpoint exactly where I want to put it. And once again, I'm only putting it in the darkest spots. I'm not too concerned with covering up every little thing. I also like to, because I have a little bit discoloration on the outsides of my eyes, on the corners, I like to cover that up, but I also like to just make a straight line going from the corner of my eye to the tail of my eyebrow. And this just gives a slight bit of a lift. I'm not entirely sure if it's detectable on camera because like I said, I'm not using a whole lot. With whatever concealer is left, I'm gonna go on the outsides of my lips, right here from the corners of the lips to an angled line upwards and outwards. And this isn't necessarily something I learned from somebody, and it's not necessarily the most trendy way to apply concealer, but I've noticed that this always works for me, and I've been doing this for a very long time. And still with whatever is left over, going down the center of the nose, just applying some on the center of my forehead, tip of my nose. Then I can apply some on the tip of my chin as well. As you can see, this like is not like a very glam look, but the placement of my concealer has snatched it a little bit. So what I'm actually gonna do is I'm gonna leave that alone. I'm not gonna blend it out just yet. And I'm gonna start with my eyebrows. I'm using a chubby brow pencil. And on a daily basis, I don't really do much for my eyebrows. I have thicker eyebrows, I would say. I do have some sparse areas. So what I like to do is I like to lightly draw a line at the bottom of my eyebrow, or where I want it to be, and extend it to the tail of the eyebrow, and just a little bit further even, to be completely honest. I do like my eyebrows as long as possible. I'm gonna do that on the other side, just at the bottom, and extending that tail as far as it can go. Okay, and then what I'm gonna do is, because the outer halves of my eyebrows are a lot sparser than the front of them, I'm going to go from the arch, the tip of the arch, down to the tail, fill that in. Now I'm gonna do that on the other side too. I'm not applying a whole lot of pressure on this eyebrow pencil. Okay. And then I'm just going to fill in any sparse areas. And with the other side of that brow pencil, I'm just gonna use the spoolie to blend upwards and outwards. So I tend to go up at the front of my brow and up till around halfway, and then I will go outwards. And that just gives a very natural brow. Okay, before I set my eyebrows, I will blend my concealer out so that it is able to be blended out. So I'm gonna go in with the same brush that I applied my color corrector with, and I'm just going to lightly blend that out. I do have this like natural kind of hollow under the eye where I have this like stark line like receding above it. So I always have a hard time concealing that. I'm starting to just kind of accept that I have it, but applying concealer right into that line, it does help a little bit. Okay, and I'm gonna blend out where we applied it on the cheeks. Down the nose, tip of the nose. There isn't really even much product left over here, but just blending. Now that that is done, sometimes it depends on my mood and depends on the day and what I'm doing for that day. A lot of times I won't really even set my concealer or my foundation. Like I said, I have pretty dry skin. The oils don't always come through, but as the weather gets warmer, I'm expecting to get slightly oilier on my forehead area. So I can, if I wanted to, set that. In order to set that, I can use two things. Sometimes I use a translucent setting powder, and I would normally do that around under my eyes as well. But this hack that I've been doing for many years now is I take a loose mineral foundation. I use that as my setting powder, so I kind of add a little bit more coverage and set at the same time. It works for me. So I'm just going to demonstrate that probably today, actually. So I'm gonna take some of my loose powder, and I don't need a lot at all. And I'm gonna take a large like powder brush, go into my foundation, tap off the excess, and now I'm going to lightly just like buff all over the skin. So this is gonna decrease the dewiness slightly. This foundation itself is not like a matte. They have a matte version of this foundation, but this is more of a natural finish. But because it is a powder, it will mattify the dewiness a little bit. And like I said, it's gonna add just a little bit more coverage, just a little bit more to even out the skin tone. Okay, now I can go finish off my eyebrows. I'm just using like a brown brow gel. This doesn't really deposit too much product, so I'm just going to comb this through my eyebrows. I'm not going for any like particular look, no like laminated brows, or my eyebrows are naturally a bit fluffy, so I'm kind of just going with whatever I naturally have. On a daily basis, I might not contour, use bronzer. Today I'll use some bronzer because like I said, on camera, the planes of your face look a little bit different. So in real life, I have a little bit more dimension, and on camera, it looks a little bit more flat. So I'm gonna go in with a powder bronzer, put my brush into it, tap off the excess, and I'm just going to lightly go into my hairline on the top of my forehead. I'm gonna add a little bit of bronziness to my cheekbones. My neck is actually a little bit darker than my face. So when matching foundations to my face, it ends up being a little bit weird at the neck area. So one trick is just to contour the jawline and blend it in with both the skin of your face and also the skin of your neck. Okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to take a little bit of more product and take the same brush, and I'm going to pinch the brush to make it a little bit longer, thinner, and then I'm just gonna go on the sides of my nose. I'm gonna place the brush right here at the top of my nose. I'm gonna swipe down. I'm not going for a very stark nose contour, just want something very subtle. And I feel like it kind of just balances out the darker tone outside of the face. It looks a little bit strange if there's like, it's not carried over into the center of your face at all. Okay, so that's it for bronzer. So I've been into blush a little bit more lately. Growing up, I was never really into blush. I had naturally my cheeks would flush, and they still do when I'm exercising. I turn pink and then I turn purple for some reason, but it's not just my cheeks, it's my whole face. So as a child, I would always want to cover up that redness. I don't have it as much anymore, like naturally, just like speaking or when I'm in public. Before, it was just like anytime I would get into a crowd, I was just like, my whole face would get flushed. It's not like that anymore, so I can afford to use some blush, and these days I'm really liking it. So I'm using a cream blush. And I'm applying that just with my finger. So I'm gonna apply it to just kind of the outside of the apple of my cheek on both sides. Okay. And then I'm going to apply like a dot on the temple over here. Okay, and I think that's a good starting place. So honestly, like I'm just gonna go in with my finger and lightly tap that out and blend that out. And I am blending it inwards and a little farther down, but I didn't want to apply it too far down and then have to blend it up. I like just like it to diffuse downwards and inwards rather than start inwards and diffuse outwards. It's a personal preference. It's really depending on my mood, but I feel like these days that's how I'm doing my blush. Now with whatever residual I have on my finger, I'm just gonna go tap that on the bridge of my nose and then just connect it kind of to my cheek. So that's not like a insane amount of blush, but that's what I do. And I do love this color of blush, and I really love this formula of blush as well. I'll have everything linked down like I mentioned below. Okay, now that we're done with the complexion, we can move on to the eyes. Eyes are super simple. A lot of times I will leave them completely bare because it might not be translating in camera, but my eyelids do have pigmentation. So when I add that concealer from the corner to the tail of my eyebrow, it conceals anything below that, but it kind of leaves that pigmentation. Sometimes I kind of just work with that and use that pigmentation to my advantage. It kind of just looks like a little bit of a one shadow look. The other option I have is to go in with my powder bronzer and use that in the crease of the eye and then call it a day. But today what I'm going to do, and what I did last year too for quite a bit of the season, is I'm going to go in with a matte cream eyeshadow. And this one is close to my skin tone. And I'm mostly just using this as a base. I'm applying just a little bit to the center of my lids. And I'm gonna use my finger, because that's easy, to blend it out. I'm gonna blend this all over the lid, up to the eyebrow. So because this is so close to my skin tone, it doesn't really show up, but it functions to cancel out any veins that I have, any discoloration. This one also acts as a really nice base for other eyeshadows. So it'll help your other eyeshadows on top of it from creasing and moving. Okay, this is completely optional. It doesn't have to be part of an everyday look, but I do like some glitter sometimes. So I'm going to use this bouncy eyeshadow in a color that's also similar to my skin tone. And I'm going to apply it to my finger and apply that to the center of my lid on both sides. And you probably can't even see that on camera really, but it gives a really pretty sparkle. I just like the look of glitter when your eyes are just moving from different angles. Okay, I'm gonna take it from the center and just blend that over the eyelid. Oh, so pretty. Done. We're gonna finish up the eyes by tight lining. So I don't necessarily go for a full-on eyeliner on a daily basis, but I do like my eyeliner. It doesn't matter if I'm gonna have eyeliner on or not, I will always tight line. It just adds a lot of depth to the lash line. And it makes it look like you have a ton of lashes. And I'm only going in with a brown color, mostly because I need to replace my black pencils. But if you just pay attention, you can see the difference on the lash lines of both eyes. This one just looks a little bit thicker, denser. Okay, and that's tight lined. And for the bottom, I'm going to use a nude eyeliner pencil. And this is just going to open up your eyes, give you that wide awake look. And I prefer a nude over a white. I feel like on my skin tone, white can look harsh. And now we can go in with mascara. I mostly on a daily basis will just go in with a light layer just to give some definition, some volume, but I don't want spidery lashes on a daily basis. Don't get me wrong, I do believe that there is a time and place for everything, but on a daily basis, I'm more into like a natural lash look. Just trying to enhance my natural lashes rather than come up with a completely different look. Okay, that's one light layer. I think I'll go in a little bit heavier. It's really important to make very weird faces while putting on mascara. It doesn't come out right if you don't. Okay, that's good. Okay, so I do the top lashes of both eyes first, and then I will go in, and whatever product is left over on the brush, I will use that on the bottom lashes. I don't really have much of an issue with transfer onto my lower lid or smudging of my mascara. I do have it of eyeliner always, but not mascara for some reason. If you are somebody that has extra watery eyes, or if you know mascara is going to smudge on you on the lower lash line, it's not necessary. Like I said, I already have my eyelashes curled. Can't go a day without curling my eyelashes, even if I'm not wearing any makeup whatsoever. My lashes will be curled and my eyebrows will be filled. Okay, eyes are done, very simple. So now, for an everyday look, I'm mostly just gonna go in with like a tinted lip oil. You're just gonna wipe off some of the remaining Vaseline. Like I said, I have like dry lips. They're prone to cracking. So I can't be wearing a matte long wear lipstick every single day, so I'd rather wear something that's nourishing, hydrating, that I can reapply. So I've been going in with a lip oil without any lip liner. This is like a bare minimum type of look. Something I can wear to the gym or out for errands or even just at home. And I really love this lip oil. One of the very few products that I can just like go through. I'm gonna need to replace mine soon actually. Probably will pick up a few more shades. This one's a very nice like just pinky tone, and it will adjust to your pH after a few minutes. But I really like the tone that it gives off, and it just like gives a very juicy pout. Okay, so that was one option for lips. I'm going to give another option for days that I'm going out or eating out, or just like if I'm ever sick of this just kind of one and done type of lip. I'm gonna go wipe off this, and then I will come back and show you the other one. Okay, I'm back. As you can see, it's left just a tiny bit of stain. If I had left it on longer, I would have stained a little bit more. But I love that also about this lip oil is just, it will hold its color a little bit longer than other products. For the other option though, you can go in full, and I'm gonna use a lip liner first. That's a little bit closer to the color of the outside of my lips. And I'm not really gonna overline, to be completely honest, on a daily basis. If I was to overline, I will overline just the top center of my lips and the bottom center of my lips. Just like that. And then for the rest of the lip line, you just wanna connect it to your actual corner of your mouth. So overline just a little bit on the center and connect it to the natural corners of your mouth. That's good enough. I'm just going to use my finger to blend that in. Blur those lines a little bit. Now I'm gonna go in with a fun springy shade. This is like a pink. And apply that straight from the bullet onto the top lip and have it transfer to the bottom lip. And then use your finger, just smush that into the lips and make sure that it's everywhere that you want it to be. And because this is a little bit brighter and the rest of our face a little bit subdued, I'm actually gonna take the same lipstick and just apply a little tiny amount onto the cheeks and add a little bit more blush. And then it's very easy to kind of have a very cohesive look when you match your lips to your cheeks. You can't go wrong. And then final step for this lip look would be to go in with a lip gloss. You could go into the clear gloss. This one has some color to it. I feel like it goes really well with the lipstick though that I wore. And I wore this combination so much last year. Okay, and that's the second option. Obviously you can do like varying degrees of these lips. Take the lipstick for example, not wear with any lip liner, and just kind of blot a little bit of the lipstick throughout just to give a little bit of a stain or a tinted look. But this is kind of more of a full on lip, which obviously has its own time and place. That's the end of the look. I hope you enjoyed. Like I said, please bear with me as my first video, but hopefully not my last. I would appreciate any constructive criticism and any ideas for future videos. But thanks for watching, and I would love it if you would consider subscribing and liking the video. That would help me out a lot.